Previously on Desperate Housewives.
Hi guys, it's
Lauren Daisy.
Welcome back to my channel, and today we're talking about a show which I haven't talked about for a while, but I'm super excited to talk about it because it's one of my favorite shows of all time, and that is Desperate Housewives. So if you have not seen Desperate Housewives, you need to. It's genuinely one of the most incredible shows I've ever seen. But one of the big kind of components of that show is obviously the drama and the relationships and the kind of connections on Wisteria Lane. So I already did a video where I ranked Bree's love interests and also Susan's because they kind of get the most throughout the show. I didn't feel the need to make a video about Gabby or Lynette specifically because they just don't have as many for a full video. So instead we are going to just rank all of them today. We have 65. I have already done 2 other iterations of this series where I rank love interests. I did it for Gossip Girl and also for Pretty Little Liars. So if you want to see those videos, I do have a playlist on my channel. And yeah, it is time for Desperate Housewives. And then I don't know who we're going to move on to next. We could do the 90210 reboot. We could do Friends. So let me know which show you want me to cover next in terms of ranking the love interests. But we're going to get straight into it. I feel like I don't think I'm going to have a huge amount to say about a lot of these because they are very brief. It'll probably be more when we get to like the top 20, top 15 that I'm going to have like actual solid opinions on these couples. And there'll be a few meh ones. There'll probably be a few where you're like, I don't even remember that was a thing. But how I kind of go about this series is that if they have ever kissed or flirted or hooked up, anything like that, they will be included. So that does mean there are a few that were already in one episode or, whatever, but all's fair is fair. We've still got to include them. So in 65th place, so rock bottom, absolute last, I do have Orson and Alma. Now, Alma, I'm not sure. I think there might be a different like pronunciation depending on like British versus American. Anyway, Alma, crazy. Firstly, that whole storyline is absolutely nuts. That whole storyline is absolutely insane. The reason I have them at the very bottom, which I feel like if you were just remembering the storyline as a whole, you might be a bit like, why? Because they would just happen to be married and then he, left, and, whatever. Like, is it really that crazy? And his mum was really the crazy one. But they're at the bottom because oh my gosh, when is it? Is it the series finale? I don't know if it's the series finale or if it's a few episodes before that, but together with Orson's mum, Alma does drug Orson, and I think she does assault him. I'm trying to remember if it actually I feel like I hated this storyline so much that I've like blocked it out in my memory. But I'm pretty sure she like successfully assaults him using sleeping drugs and also Viagra, which is probably the most messed up thing that happens in this show. And it was a tough watch, and I feel like they kind of try and make it like funny. Like for me, I hated this like whole scene, and yeah, because of that, obviously I have them at the bottom because that's just unforgivable basically. Then at 64, which, if that exact scene hadn't have happened, then I think these guys would have been at the bottom for me. It's Porter and Anne, the old like lady that he hooks up with, and then Lynette thinks he's having an affair, like Tom's having an affair, but then it's actually Porter that's hooking up with her, and also he's literally like 16, I think he's meant to be 16 when this happens. So that was insanely messed up. And then I think she also tries to get him to like run away with her or something. Yeah, that was also fucked. And that was also only, I think, an episode or 2, but that was a really gross one. Then at 63, we have Gabby and John. I feel like I'm curious to see if people are going to be more divided about this, because I think they did have like sweet moments, and I think because Carlos is so kind of horrible and like dismissive of Gabby in that first season, you do think it's sweet the way that she is with John, and it allows us to see a kind of different side to Gabby, like in contrast to how she is with Carlos. But you still just can't get away from the fact that he is also 16. I think he's supposed to be 16 or 15. He's definitely a teenager, like he's still in high school, and so for that reason, absolutely not. And then I feel like when they did kind of almost come back together when he was older, it still didn't work for me, like even though it would have been technically fine then, but obviously it wasn't before, so it still was weird. But I don't know, even if they had just met, like if he had just been her gardener and no funny business had happened, and then it like later down the line there's like the whole scene where she's at his hotel and he's like rich now and whatever, I still didn't think the chemistry was that good then. So yeah, they're right at the bottom for me, but I do feel like they're kind of I don't even know if I would go as far as to say iconic Desperate Housewives couple. I feel like I guess they kind of are, because that's a big arc in the first season and a lot of the promo was centered around that. And I really like the actor that plays John, but to me he'll always be John Tucker, like John Tucker must die. So I think it would have been no, because Julie would have been too young to date him when she, like, there was no one really around that same age group. Everyone was always a little bit younger, so there's no one else I could really pair him with. But I thought he was like sweet as a character. But yeah, him and Gabby together, no. At 62, I have Catherine and Wayne. So I feel like this one kind of explains itself, because he was literally horrific to her and abusive, and was going to kill her. So, I mean, the fact that we had to get like 4 people down in the list to get to attempted murder, essentially, very Desperate Housewives coded, is kind of crazy. But yeah, he does try to kill her, and I just hated his character. Obviously he's supposed to be a villain, but you can have villains that are still enjoyable as villains. Like Dave, crazy, like him as a villain was crazy. I was so invested in that story, but I just wasn't invested in Wayne, and I was just excited for Catherine to just, you know, just get rid of him. Then at 61, we have another Catherine matchup, and this is Catherine and Tim. So Tim is Susan's nephew, was it? I think it was Susan's nephew. He's played by, oh my god, I can't remember his name now, but he's in Grey's Anatomy, and I love him in Grey's Anatomy. I think he is such a cutie. He's such a good actor. But yeah, that was such a weird thing to throw in, that he had slept with Catherine when he was also a minor. Like, what is wrong with these people? It's like, you know, Pretty Little Liars is probably the most prolific show in terms of age gap relationships and just the horrors there. But she learned from Desperate Housewives, because why are there so many of these? Wrap it up. 60, we have Peter and Andrew. So another age gap one. And this one, oh god, this was actually messed up on so many levels. Like when you actually deep it, this one was messed up on so many levels, because Peter was not only Bree's sober, like, companion, or like sobriety, you know, sober, is that what they call them? Sponsor, that's it. But she also was in love with him, and I actually thought they were quite cute together. And then he goes and he sleeps with her son, her literal, like, again, 15-year-old son? I have to lean back. I have to, like, 15-year-old son. I mean, he was a sex addict, but also that's crazy. I feel like there's actually no excuse. Yeah. Ugh. At 59, we have Carlos and Xiaomei, who was their housekeeper in the first season, and then she ended up being their surrogate in the second season. And they like hooked. I always hated this. Honestly, I hated this so much. Like, oh god. Like, they were both obviously of legal age. Like, there's no age gap thing here, or like, but I hated this. Like, I hated this so much. I hated this. And I hated this whole storyline. And obviously, Xiaomei's character in general is just incredibly offensive. But yeah, this was a terrible pairing. Absolutely awful. At 58, we don't have like a real pairing, but it is Gabby and Zach, because he was just in love with her. And I think they did kiss once, maybe? I'm not sure. But yeah, he was in love with her, and even proposed to her. And if it had been like a kind of like, oh, he has a crush, that's cute, you know, like kind of thing, but then he literally tries to gaslight her into believing they slept together. And that was so weird. Zach is such a weird character, and he does such bizarre things. And yeah, this was after he had just gotten all of his money. So he was like buying her nice things, and I think it's a shame because he was weirdly kind of a good friend for her. Like, he was just someone that would listen to her, and I think she actually kind of needed that at that time, but she didn't need it from him. She should have just found, you know, a friend her own age. Then at 57, we have Brie and George. And obviously George is the psycho pharmacist from season 2 primarily, I think. And then it was just in and around in season 1. And obviously he kills her husband and tries to kill her therapist when he... This show is honestly like a soap opera. When he pushed her therapist off of that fucking bridge, gagged. Honestly, George was crazy. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is a villain where I was like, this is so insane. This is so crazy. I was hooked. I was locked in. Like, I didn't care about George, like as in him, but I was here for it. I was here for the storyline. And Brie then starts dating him, not realizing that he's literally trying to kill everyone in her life. And he buys her a house and he proposes to her. And then he actually ends up taking his own life in an attempt. Well, he wasn't, gosh, okay. So he wasn't actually trying to take his own life. He just wanted to do it to get Brie's attention and so that she would save him. But then because she just found out that he had killed her husband, she then didn't save him. So he then did end up taking his own life, but also Brie didn't try and help him. Wow. This show is actually so good, it's crazy. At 56, we have Danielle and Austin. And in my heart of hearts, I literally wanted to put this fucking last. Like, obviously, in the context of the other ones, it's not as bad because they were the same age, you know, whatever. But in terms of just pairings that pissed me off, it's them. Because I thought that Julie and Austin was so cute, and I was so silly to believe that he could have changed for her, because I thought they were so cute together, and then they go and ruin it by having him hook up with Danielle, who was... They were kind of friends. I mean, like, not really. I feel like they were just kind of like friends adjacent because they were a similar age and they just lived on Wisteria Lane and their mums were friends. But yeah, that was so upsetting. That whole thing was so upsetting. And then the way that Austin ends up leaving, and this was so pointless. I always hoped that he would come back, honestly, but he never did. At 55, we have Tom and Nora, because, I mean, this is like, I guess aside from Danielle and Austin, this is our first couple that is age appropriate and also nobody tries to kill anyone. I don't think. So now we're getting into, I guess, just kind of like our standard couples. And these have got to be the worst. This has got to be the worst. Also, I just find it so bizarre. Obviously, they made Nora a very unlikable character and kind of erratic to combat with how like controlling Lynette is. But it just made no sense to me that he would ever go for someone like that. I think it was it just a one night stand? I think it might have just been a one night stand. And then the way that he like hides it from Lynette and he finds out about Kayla, and oh god, that whole storyline's a mess. But just looking at them specifically in terms of compatibility and anything, it just never made sense to me. At 54, we have Bree and Keith's dad. I couldn't even remember his name. I'm sure he does have a name, but I couldn't remember it. So basically, Bree is dating Keith, and then Keith's dad gets divorced, and then he tries to put some moves on Bree because they are closer in age, but obviously he is still older than her. But they are slightly closer in age compared to like Bree and Keith. And nothing ever happens there, but he was determined. Like he was ready to risk it all. Everyone's always, let me tell you something. Everyone is always ready to risk it all for Brie Vanderkamp, and I don't blame them because I love that bitch. Like I personally, I would risk it all for Brie Vanderkamp. Like I actually would. So I don't blame men in, I don't even know. Where even is Wisteria Lane? I don't think they ever say where it actually is, like which state it's in, or like which city it's in, or anything. So I don't know. But all the men of Wisteria and the surrounding areas, Brie has a spell on them, as she should. Love that bitch. At 53, we have Julie and Nick, and honestly, I wanted to put this one lower, but I felt like I couldn't because they were a kind of like established relationship. Like they weren't just a one night stand like Tom and Nora, or Danielle and Austin. And yeah, obviously Brie and Keith's dad were just not even really a thing. So I felt like I had to put Julie and Nick above them. She is an adult when they are dating, but it also is an affair, which is shady fucking business. And I loved Angie, so I was like, Nick, you are on my list. Like you are on my list for messing with my girl Angie. But then also Julie did get strangled, so she kind of like, you know, karma came and got her for having an affair. And also she wasn't the one that had loyalties to Angie anyway, so love Julie, that's fine. Do I love Julie? I can't remember where I put her in my ranking list. I think I just love the actress that plays her, so I remember Julie more fondly. But like in the later seasons, I didn't like Julie as much, but I loved her in the early seasons. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, Julie and Nick. Like I honestly forget that even happened because I get so caught up in like the Wisteria Strangler of it all, of that season, and also obviously Angie and the environmentalist group, that I forget that this was even part of that story. But it was. And yeah, didn't love it. Also, how did that like even happen? Like how did they even meet each other? Ugh, it's been like 2 years now since I watched Desperate Housewives. Like fully for the first time. I need to start watching. I need to start doing a rewatch. They're actually doing a rewatch podcast now, and I'm obsessed. They've only posted one episode so far, but it's Terry Hatcher, who played Susan, and Andrea Bowen, who played Julie, and then Terry Hatcher's actual daughter, which is so cute. So they have like her TV daughter and her real daughter, and they're basically going through and they're going to watch all the episodes. It's called Desperately Devoted if you want to go and check it out. Love. So excited to see that, and also, you know, like, hit me up. I want to be a guest. I want to be a guest on that podcast so bad. Like, none of the shows that I love have rewatch podcasts, aside from Drama Queens. Obviously, like the One Tree Hill one, but because I'm not finished with One Tree Hill yet, I'm only on season 3. That video is coming, I promise. I haven't listened to the podcast because they do, like, talk about spoilers and stuff. But, like, Desperate Housewives, Gossip Girl, Pretty Lies. I mean, Vanessa's actor, Jessica, she did start, I don't know if it was a rewatch, I think it was a rewatch podcast, like, called XOXO, but then she stopped making it, and I don't think she ever said why she stopped making it. But she had quite a few of the cast on there, but they've never done, like, a Pretty Little Liars one. Well, I mean, they did, like, I don't know why I just said that, actually. Why did I just say that? Me when I just lie for no reason. I was like, yeah, none of the shows I watch have rewatch podcasts. Oh, except for One Tree Hill, which has one, and Gossip Girl, which did kind of have one, and also Pretty Little Liars, which technically had 2. I'm so full of shit. But what's exciting about Desperately Devoted is, similarly to, like, Drama Queens, it's Terry Hatcher, and, like, it's Julie and Susan. So those are, like, big players that were in every season. And were main characters. So the gist of it is, I'm excited and I want to be on their show. So that was that. That was literally it. Let's get back to the list. I don't know. Fuck Julie and Nick. Let's keep going. Now we've got another, like, nothing couple. This is Susan and Lonnie. And I only included them because they did kiss, because he did kiss her against her will, which was fucking gross as hell. Yeah. To be fair, they probably should be lower. Like, they should be lower. I don't know why I put them higher. They should be, like, way lower than this. But I think it was just my bias coming out, because I love the actor that played Lonnie, because he played Cyrus Rose in Gossip Girl. Legend. I mean, there's literally nothing else to say about that one, so let's keep it going. Who the hell's Greg? I'll be so real with you guys. I made this list, like, back when I actually finished Desperate Housewives for the first time. That's how long it's taken me to make this video. So now I'm seeing names and I'm like, who the hell are these people? Greg. Who the fuck is this? I saw this man walking down the street. I wouldn't know a thing. Sorry to this man. Oh, she dated him for, like, a day. Yes, no, I do remember him now, actually. I think he, like, tried to kiss her after they went on their date and she rejected him, and she basically just wasn't over Tom yet, but she felt like she needed to go on a date. And also, I think he was ex-co-workers with Tom or something, so it was also a little bit of a fuck you to Tom. But she didn't end up liking him anyway. And I don't remember liking him either. So. Okay, at number 50, cracking into the top 50, we have Mike and Evie. Now, I honestly... Okay, how do I want to word this? I wouldn't have been as mad at this couple if what happens in season 2 didn't happen. Like, if he had moved to Wisteria Lane and, you know, him and Edie had been, like, a little bit of a thing briefly, you know, because she was also trying to win his affection at the same time as Susan, then maybe that could have been fun. I am just such an Edie Britt stan. I love that woman. Yes, she's nuts. What are you, nuts? Me at Edie every single episode.
What are you, nuts? 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 Are you nuts? What are you, nuts? What are you, nuts? Ow, what are you, nuts? What are you, nuts?
But she owns that shit. Like, she's Barbie if Barbie was, like, for HBO Max instead of Disney Plus. Do you know what I'm saying? And I just loved her. I really did love her. And she made some crazy choices. She's the ultimate anti-hero of Desperate Housewives, I think. And I love her for that. But obviously, lying to Mike when he comes out of his coma and saying that she was there the whole time and not Susan, and that Susan's with someone else now, and which also was true, to be fair. She was with that British guy. So yeah, obviously she tricked him, so that wasn't good. But I still feel like the whole Edie, Mike, Susan love triangle, even though it wasn't really a love triangle, is just such an iconic part of season 1, so I had to give it its props. Who the hell is that? Oh, okay. At 49, we have Preston and Irina, I think it was. If that's pronounced wrong, please let me know in the comments. But this was Preston's fiance. Very briefly. Actually, did they get married? No, I don't think they did, because it was literally their wedding day and Lynette was like, she was not happy about it. And then Irina ended up being killed by the Wisteria Strangler anyway. And I think she did admit she was just after Preston's money. That was when he had that weird mustache. And then, yeah, she did die. Which was like sad times. But I don't remember much else, so we'll just move on. At 48, we have Danielle and Matthew. I feel like when I was putting this list together, I forgot that maybe he was a little bit older. I feel like I probably should have put them further down. Like, I don't know why I remembered them both being kids, like being teenagers. But now I'm like, surely Matthew wasn't a teenager. Unless he was supposed to be a teenager and he just looked a lot older. But I feel like I maybe should have put them lower now that I'm like thinking about it. But she really loved him. Oh, it doesn't say his age on the Wisteria wiki. But she did really like him. I feel like that was probably her at her least insufferable. Was probably in season 2. I'm like, would he have killed her? I don't know. Like, do we think he actually liked her, or do we think he probably would have ended up killing her like he did his first girlfriend, Melanie, I think it was? And obviously her seeing him die, like, that was sad, because she did really like him. They're also, I think, one of 2 interracial couples that we get in Desperate Housewives. I think it's literally them and then like Ben and Renee, which is so crazy. The diversity in Desperate Housewives is it's atrocious. Who the fuck is Rick? Oh, right, yeah. 47, we have Susan and Rick, and you might be like, who the hell is that? He is the police officer that she starts seeing. Is this season 1? She only sees him for like an episode, because then he literally patronizes her and is just gross, and very condescending, and she's like, fuck this, and leaves, which, love. But yeah, she only dated him. She only went like on one date with him, and he was played by the guy that plays Mark in Friends, so that's all I could think about the whole time, that he was on screen, to be fair. At 46, I have Gabby and Luke, and again, this was literally just one episode. He was Zach's lawyer, and she's interested in him, and they might even go on one date, but then he says he only dates girls in their 20s and that Gabby's too old for him. Gross. Ew. Nasty. 45, this might seem crazy because of some of the couples we have above this, but I have Susan and Jackson, okay? And I think people have quite a positive opinion of Jackson, maybe. You'll have to let me know down below, because I feel like he always like ranks quite highly in terms of Susan's love interest. I hated Jackson. I'm sorry. Like, sorry to the man that played him, but I just didn't see it. I didn't see the chemistry. I didn't get the vibes. I did not care for them at all as a couple. I thought it was just weird. I think maybe it was because it was so jarring, because the last time we'd seen Susan, she was with Mike. But yeah, I just didn't like him. And then she's going to marry him so that he can stay in the country, like when he comes back after they've broken up. Anyway, I just didn't find him likable as a character. I don't know if that's a hot take. At 44, I have Catherine and Peter, which again, at least Susan and Jackson were like an established couple. This was literally a 1-episode thing. And Bree sets her up with this guy called Peter, who is like, I can't remember what he is, but Orson like knows him or something. And then it turns out that he's a criminal. And Orson like met him in jail, I think. So then she doesn't see him again after that. And I barely remembered who he was. And yet somehow I'm like, that's still better than Jackson actually. Okay, at 43, we have Julie and Danny. And again, I'm pretty sure this was really brief. I didn't even remember them actually dating. I just remember him like in his other couple that we'll talk about in a moment. So I don't really have much to say. I think he just really liked her. But then she was sleeping with his dad. It's weird vibes. But clearly I still much preferred her with the son than I did with the dad, because we talked about him like 10, 15 couples ago. At 42, I have Dave and Edie. And I think in terms of how iconic this storyline is, did I put this at number 1? I'm trying to think. I did a video. You know what? I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you because I'm not going to spoil it for you. But I did a video where I ranked all of the Desperate Housewives mysteries. Like kind of the main storylines from each season. And I'm trying to remember where I put the Dave storyline. But yeah, go and watch that video if you haven't seen it. Go and watch that video if you haven't seen it. That whole storyline is so iconic, but obviously Dave ultimately causes Edie's death, and for that, no forgiveness. No forgiveness from me, because as I've established, I love her. And obviously he wasn't a good partner for her because he just lied and basically used her to get onto Wisteria Lane. But just them as like a power couple, like if he'd maybe recruited her, and she'd also been like evil with, well, not evil, but like if she'd been in on his revenge, like that would have been crazy. That would have been so good. At 41, I have Bree and Chuck. And I think, okay, so Chuck is the police. He's the police. What word do I want to say? Like, I feel like he's more of an agent than like a police officer. Or like a detective. Maybe he was more like a detective. Anyway, from season, I think she starts dating him in season 7. And then their relationship kind of comes to an end when obviously she is an accessory to murder. And I think it's a shame because I actually did quite like their relationship up until that point. And obviously Chuck was well within his rights to arrest Bree for being an accessory to murder. Like, obviously that was his job, that's the law. But because I love Bree and I support Bree's rights and Bree's wrongs, I was like, you actually can't do that. Like, you actually can't do that to my girl Bree Vanderkamp. So he loses points for that. But up until that kind of got in the way of everything, I actually did really like them together. And I thought they were cute. At 40, I have Tom and Renee. This is a complete side tangent, but I went to see The Devil Wears Prada, the musical. Incredible. So good. And Vanessa Williams, who plays Renee, was playing Meryl Streep's role. She was playing the role of Miranda, and she absolutely killed it. So to see Renee in the flesh, Vanessa Williams right in front of my eyes, singing, top 10 life experiences. It was amazing. If you haven't seen it, you should go and see it. Tom and Renee is such a wild one to me because they just don't seem compatible at all. But I do think she actually did like him. And I always thought maybe they were going to go back to that. And maybe they would be a thing at some point. But I'm glad that they didn't. And I'm glad that she chose her friendship with Lynette over that. But I do find that kind of crazy that they even slept together at all, because they just seem like such polar opposites. So yeah, I just didn't see them matching, but I was surprised that they didn't give it another go. At 39, you guys are gonna think I'm crazy. I got Susan and Paul. Okay, yeah, Paul Young. Because she was having steamy dreams about that man, okay? So I think it counts. I love Paul Young. Okay. I think that Paul Young is one of the most iconic, underrated, underappreciated characters of Desperate Housewives. Like, he low-key carried this show. Incredible. Him and Brie carrying this show on their backs. He was so chaotic, and I was always so like invested in what he was gonna do next. And so when Susan like started to have feelings for him, I was low-key kind of like, this is hilarious. Let's go. Not really, because she was with Mike at the time, but if she hadn't been with Mike, I would have been like, let's go. Because that would have just been such a crack ship. Like, that was like a crack ship that almost happened. And I love that. At 38, we have Andrew and Justin. And this is Andrew's first boyfriend. I think he's one of John's friends from season 1. He's like who he first kind of goes out with when he's coming to terms with his sexuality. So I just thought they were cute. I thought they were fine. It doesn't like go anywhere really. We don't see him again after season 1, I don't think. They're fine. No. Mid-tier. Then at 37, I have Susan and Ian. And honestly, it took everything I had not to put Paul above Ian, just for the crack of it. Because I could not stand Ian. The only reason that I have him this high on the list is because he was around for so fucking long. Like, he grossly overstayed his welcome in this show. But I was like, you know, I feel like I'll put him in because he did treat Susan well to a degree. But then once you firstly, he's already annoying. But then once you have him up against Mike, like, that man was never going to win. He was never going to win that fight. And then them like fighting over her and him proposing and just, yeah. Yeah, no. And I feel like I should be, you know, fellow Brit, like, but no. Get out. And his English accent pissed me off too. Like, At 36, we have Catherine and Adam. And this is such a weird one because they're obviously together when we first meet them, like when she moves back onto the lane. Season 4, I think, is like Catherine's season. And I just don't really care about them. Like, I'm almost neutral in that I don't remember any like big moments with them. He's obviously seems a little shady, but that's just because like Catherine's hiding something. And then he cheats on her. I'm pretty sure he cheats on her. Am I right about that? I think he might cheat on her. And then I'm pretty sure he doesn't come back after season 4. Like, she just lives there by herself. So yeah, I just don't really care. I'm just like, meh. Okay, 35, we have Julie and Porter, which was such a weird, I feel like this was a weird choice story-wise. And I feel like they kind of just did it to like, one, for shock value in the last season, to be like, oh, he's the dad. But also to kind of like keep Susan and Lynette linked, like keep the housewives linked still, like at the end of the show. But yeah, I just didn't see this at all. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just didn't get it. I didn't understand it. It just seemed random. It just seemed, yeah, like it was for like shock value that the father of her baby would be someone we know. But not only is it someone we know, it's, you know, now Lynette and Susan are grandmas and whatever. So yeah, that just seemed a bit weird. And then I also don't even think they get together after this, do they? Like, I think it was literally just like they hooked up and then she got pregnant and then they were going to raise the baby together, but they weren't going to be together, if I'm remembering it correctly. So they're not even really a couple anyway. At 34, I just put this here because I don't even really know where to put it. I just have Orson and Judy, which is the nurse that he dates after Brie. I didn't really have any like negatives for them because they were kind of so forgettable, and so I also didn't have any positives for them. But I was like, they're better than some of these horrific ones, I guess. I feel like they should probably be lower just because they're so irrelevant. I feel like that's kind of my bad. That's kind of on me. Then at 33, we have Julie and Zach, because even though Zach is a very strange character and he goes in a very weird direction after season 1, I did think they were kind of cute. Like, there was moments where he was a little strange, but his whole upbringing was a little strange. And I just thought it was sweet that Julie was taking the time to try and understand him. And I did think they were kind of sweet, but probably more as like friends than a couple. Then at 32, I have Gabby and Bill. And Bill is the single dad, or I think he might be a widower, that she meets in... I think it's when she's doing, like, coaching the kids, I think, in, like, the pageanting. And she meets him and they kind of like, hit it off. I think he was the first person that she dated after her divorce from Carlos, maybe. And he was like really sweet. He was just a nice guy. I'm trying to remember how they ended. I think they ended just because he thought Gabby was still too hung up on Carlos and that whole situation. So he ended things with her. But I did think they were cute. Like he was just a nice guy. He was just a nice guy. Even though she kind of was like, I think she was kind of like pretending to not really be herself in order to kind of like impress him. But he was sweet and I think he would have been good for her at that time. But yeah, he's only in it for like 2 episodes. Every time we go to a new one, I'm like, who the hell is this? I'm like, who the hell is Ron? No, Ron the doctor. Yes, okay. So Susan starts dating Ron in... This is the thing, I'm terrible with the seasons, so I can't remember. But she has to have like her appendix out or like something. She has to have like some procedure done. And she starts dating Ron and he's like, like cute, like younger doctor. But then she ends up marrying Carl again so that she can use his health insurance. And then I can't remember if he breaks up with her because of that whole insurance fraud thing, or if she breaks up with him. But like Ron was fine. He was just kind of neutral. He was just a guy, really. But oh my gosh, I think she like wakes up from surgery and says that she loves Mike, and then Ron's like, who the hell's Mike? I think maybe that happened. So Ron had a bit of a rough go of it dating Susan, to be fair. And yeah, I don't think they lasted very long. I think it was only a few episodes. Like it was a good amount for like just a secondary love interest, because they usually don't get that long. But yeah, I think it was only, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5 episodes that he ended up being in total. Okay, so then at 30 we have Lynette and Frank, and this is so Frank was Renee's hairdresser, and Lynette started seeing him again very briefly. I think they only went on 2 dates, but he was sweet, and he was just really great with her, and she was obviously struggling with the divorce still. And they almost have sex and then she ends up crying. It just basically kind of makes her realize that her marriage is over now that she's, willing to take this next step. And then he like brings her pizza and I just thought he was sweet, I was just like, this was fine. And 29, I have Danny and Anna. So like I said, we would be getting to Danny's other relationship, and that is with Anna. I think Anna was like Carlos's niece or something, that then, you know, moves in with them, and she starts talking to Danny, and I think they end up moving to New York together or something. And they, at first, it was kind of like a bit of a forbidden, you know, romance kind of trope. And maybe they even run away together. But yeah, then they end up living in New York together. And yeah, I just thought they were cute. We don't get a lot of teen like romance in this show. And the ones that we do get are kind of very, like, they're not really invested in a lot, like, you know, like Porter and Preston's relationships and Julie's ones. So I quite liked this. It's a bit of a change of pace. And I thought they were sweet. At 28, I have Gabby and Victor. And I feel like this was again more just because they were quite a long-standing couple and she did marry him. Yeah, I'm sure she actually married him. So I felt like I had to put them higher up because they were, you know, kind of longer standing couple, and he was in it for, he overstayed his welcome as well. But he was the mayor, and I just never, I don't know if that was the intention, but I just never got these two. I just never saw the chemistry. I didn't understand it. I didn't vibe with it. I didn't vibe with him as a character. And then he also just turns out to be not that nice of a guy anyway. And then he gets impaled by a fence. So I'd say the most exciting part of his character is when he gets impaled by that fence. 27, we have Tom and Jane. And again, this is more just because we see them for a long time. They're basically together all of season 8. Maybe I've made that up. But they were together for a long time, like a good few episodes. And we see quite a lot of her. Again, it's kind of similar to Gabby and Victor. I just was never invested in Jane. I just didn't really like her, but that was probably the writer's intention, so that you always stayed with Tom and Lynette. But I do love Andrea Parker, who plays her, and she plays Jessica De Laurentiis in Pretty Little Liars, so that's a fun little thing. And then also Tom, in real life, is married to Laura Leighton, who plays Ashley Marin. So 2 Pretty Little Liars links in this couple, so they get bonus points for that. At 26, I have Paul and Edie, and this is like another crack ship. I think they had sex once, or they just made out. But this would have been so good. Like, if the writers actually followed through with this and made this an actual couple, it would have been so beyond hilarious. I would have loved it. Okay, breaking into the top 25, we have Catherine and Mike. And I think Catherine and Mike, I'm just such a Susan and Mike girly, like ride or die, that I wasn't huge on this relationship, but for what it was, I could appreciate it. Does that make sense? Like, it was obviously a stop along the way. So I was kind of interested in just seeing their storyline play out. And they did have some nice moments. And obviously it leads to such a wild storyline with where Catherine's character goes with the downfall of that relationship. So yeah, again, I think it's fun to see other pairings that you maybe wouldn't expect so much. And I mean, Catherine's acting is just 10 out of 10. It was just 10 out of 10. And I feel like they did have some good moments. They did have some sweet moments, but ultimately he was always still in love with Susan. Okay, in 24, I have Brie and Rex. And I feel like, again, this is because they were obviously married, so they're a very iconic couple to season 1. But I think it would have been so nice to see them before. Like, the way that they talk about their relationship and how it was when they first got together is so sweet. But then we also did find out he had a secret son. So that wasn't great. And they were so toxic. But then I almost like found myself rooting for them to get back together towards the end before he died. And yeah, I just think they're such an iconic couple for the show that I had to have them higher up. 23, we have Susan and Carl. Again, because they are such an iconic couple for the show. Anytime they would like hook up again or something, it was always hilarious. Like, their scenes together were always really, really good. Do I think he was a good partner for her? No, absolutely not. But I still yeah, I still had them pretty high on my list because they are iconic and their dynamic is just so good. At 22, I have Edie and Carlos, and I actually was kind of into this pairing when they first started because I just thought it was kind of fun to see a different pairing, a different dynamic. And I think she did really love him, but then she obviously gets way too attached and starts acting a little bit wild towards the end of their relationship. And he also then does cheat on her with Gabby. So it was all just very, yeah, it was all very toxic, but I just found it such a wild pairing that I did not expect at all. I think if it would have been anyone, it would have been like Lynette and Carlos, because there was always kind of a weird thing there. But I think that just would have been too much for Lynette and Gabby's kind of friendship to take. But yeah, I don't know. I thought Edie and Carlos was kind of interesting, and he was very sweet with like her son and those moments. I did think they actually kind of paired well together. At 21, I have Catherine and Robin, and oh god, this one frustrates me for so many reasons. But the main reason is that they get them together, and I was like, they're really cute. Also, we haven't had a, you know, lesbian couple on Desperate Housewives. Yeah, obviously Andrew was gay. So we'd seen that, and we have you know, obviously Bob and Lee. Oh my god, how can I forget them? They're literally my favorites. Bob and Lee as well. But yeah, we hadn't had a female relationship like that. So I thought that was really cool. And I really liked that. I thought it was fun as well that it was one of the more main characters with Catherine to do that. And I guess, you know, she was bi, and then Robin was also bi, or maybe a lesbian, I can't remember. But I thought, slay, love that. So that's why I have them so high up, because I did enjoy their relationship. But then they have Catherine come back and say that it was just a phase. Like, that was so stupid. Like, why did they do that? She could have just come back for the finale and been like, oh yeah, Robin's still back home, or whatever, or we broke up and now I'm seeing a new woman, or something like that. But they don't. They just have her say it was a phase, and she just ends up single. So I didn't like that. So minus points for that. At 20, I have Dave and Lila for literally no reason. I just didn't know where to put them. But I also was like, they seemed so sweet. Like, obviously, yes, Dave does go off the rails. Okay, he does go off the rails. But this relationship was before that. And in the flashbacks and what we get to see of them and the way that he talks about her, they seemed really cute. They did seem really cute. At 19, I have Brie and Trip. And to be honest with you, I feel like in my heart of hearts, I probably should have put him lower. This to me felt so forced right at the end. Him being kind of like Brie's endgame was just, like, we'd already kind of done the lawyer thing, but we'd done it way better the first time. And so I just wasn't huge on him as a character. I didn't get invested in him, and I found him a little boring. And their relationship definitely felt very rushed to then be, you know, together at the end was I don't know. It wasn't my favorite. It's not how I probably would have had Brie end up. But he also was just a decent guy, I guess. So I couldn't really put him that much lower. But yeah, I wasn't huge on that. 18, I have Paul and Beth, which is kind of crazy because the whole relationship is built on lies, and he literally like killed her aunt. But I don't know, in a weird way, I feel like he actually did love her, and I feel like maybe she did like him. I don't know. I don't know why I have them so high up. Like I said, I made this list so long ago that I feel like I'd probably have to re-watch the show in order to really like solidify these. But I did like that storyline. I did. And I don't know, I feel like they did have kind of sweet moments once she actually like started to like him for real. I don't know. I think I just love Paul's storyline, so I'm just invested in all of them. At 17, I have Lynette and Rob. And I did like Rob for Lynette. Obviously, I didn't want her to cheat on Tom because affairs, no, no, no. But I think that, I don't know, because obviously it was like, oh, I don't know. I feel like it had been a long time since she and Rob had been together, that it would have been kind of weird if she went back to him when she got divorced, but also that kind of would have worked, and I would have liked to have seen them together because they had really, really great chemistry, and I just really liked them as a couple, but obviously it wasn't going to work then. But once Tom was out of the picture, I feel like we should have gone back to that. We should have revisited that couple because, yeah, their chemistry was insane. Like, it was really, really good. At 16, at 16, we have probably the most ridiculous one on this list, and that is Edie and Eli. Honestly, the Eli episode is, to me, one of the greatest episodes of television. It's so well written, it's so emotional, it's so, so good. And the fact that he was just a decent guy, you know, and him and Edie just hooked up the ones, I think. Did they even hook up properly? I can't remember. But I was like, you know what? She needed someone like that. She needed someone that just cared. And, you know, who knows? Who knows what could have been there? At number 15, I have Mary Alice and Paul, because I honestly think they just matched each other's freak in an insane way. And I think that's just, again, so iconic to the show, like to the first season specifically, is their relationship. And the fact that they both, you know, changed their identities, I think, and moved to Wisteria Lane, kept this huge secret, all this stuff is so crazy, but they, you know, they worked together. They did work. And I do think he genuinely loved her and was devastated when she died. So I did like them. Now, this is probably going to be pretty crazy based on what I've already said, but 14, I have Brie and Peter. And I feel like I'm just blocking the Andrew stuff out of my mind because I did think they were really sweet. I think Brie definitely overstepped some boundaries with him that she probably shouldn't have. But she just was so enamored with him and he was so sweet with her, and I really liked them and I thought they were really cute, and I thought they were gonna go so much further than they did, and that's what made the Andrew thing so shocking and so upsetting, because I did like them a lot. I really did. At 13, I have Julie and Austin, and like I said, I loved them together. You know, he was kind of like the bad boy and she was, you know, like the straight-laced girl, and I'm a sucker for that dynamic, I'll be so real. And when they got together, I was like, oh, this is so cute, and it was her first boyfriend, and then he gets Danielle pregnant. Like, what the fuck? And that kind of ruins that whole thing, and then he's gonna give Julie... Does he give her the letter, or does he not even get to give her the letter? I don't remember, but he, like, leaves, and just, we never see him again, and I thought that was so sad. I would have been so gagged. I would have loved if the father of Julie's baby was Austin in the final season. That would have been everything to me, because that just seemed like, I don't know, they just wrapped that whole storyline up so quickly. It felt really weird to me. I would have loved to have explored that more in the later seasons. At 12, I have Edie and Carl, and I think similarly to like Mary Alice and Paul, they just match each other's freak really well. And they're both just absolute menaces, and I kind of loved that. And I feel like she actually did really like him, and obviously he just screwed her over like he always does. But I thought they were a fun dynamic. I thought they were always hilarious together. Their scenes were hilarious, and it just made sense. Do you know what I mean? Like, Edie and Carl together, it made so much sense. It was just such a power couple move. At 11, I have Andrew and Alex, and this is who he dates post time jump, and they get their house together. I don't think he ends up with him in the end, though. I think it's like when he has his alcohol problems, I think Alex leaves. But I just thought they were really cute. And I was happy for Andrew, for him to like have his life back on track and to have an actual happy ending. So I was kind of sad when they changed it, but it was a good moment for Brie and Andrew to have. You know, kind of him going through the same problems as her. But in terms of a couple, I thought Andrew and Alex were really cute, and Brie was very supportive of them. And yeah, honestly, Andrew has one of the craziest character developments and like 180s I've ever seen, because he is the worst. Like in season 1 and season 2, I think it's season 1 and season 2, he's the worst. And then he just does a complete 180, and he's one of the most hilarious characters on the entire show. He's so good, and you just want to root for him. And that's what I did with him and Alex. Okay, then at number 10, I have Nick and Angie. And I think, honestly, Angie's doing the heavy lifting. Like, she's defo doing the heavy lifting here, because I didn't really care about Nick too much, but I did think they were sweet, aside from him obviously cheating on her with Julie. I think I just love Angie so much. I think that's why this couple is up so high, because I just love her so much. And, you know, he was obviously willing to stand by her and change identities and change lives and everything, to still stay with her. So I did think, you know, I did think that was quite sweet. And then at number 9, I have Lynette and Tom. And I think Lynette and Tom, actually, I was going to say is very divisive, but I don't even think it is. I think everyone just hates Tom. And I don't know. I was kind of surprised, I think, when I started looking at people's opinions after I'd seen the show, because I wasn't Tom's biggest fan, but I also didn't hate him, and I did kind of like him and Lynette together at points. Like, they were obviously quite toxic, but I ultimately did want them to end up together. And when they do get back together, like, I cried. Okay, I cried. Like in season 8, when they get back together, I was a mess, and I was happy that they got back together. I think there's points where both of them do things that are wrong. I think especially Tom, like Tom's so insecure about things, especially about the job stuff, and he has some really shitty moments. I don't know, they're like our longest standing couple, and it just, I don't know, I just feel like it wouldn't be the same without them two together. There's so much you could fix about them, but also that's kind of what makes them them. Then at number 8, I have Brie and Orson, and honestly, I probably would have had them top 5, top 3 if they didn't turn Orson into the villain in the later seasons. And I understand why it happened, and the actor, he wanted to play the villain, and he, you know, wanted that character arc for Orson, but I just loved them. I just loved them as they were. I loved them just as the couple that they were. And so to see that character shift and that whole relationship dynamic change, I thought was a real shame, because I did really love them together. They were so iconic. They were so funny. And he just adored her. Like, he just adored her in the way that she deserved. Like, those first few like seasons, like before the time jump, before he goes to jail, that was just such perfect TV, like perfect couple. I loved them. They were so funny. And the thing is, even after the time jump, they're still so funny. Like, even when he kind of turns on her and they hate each other, it's still hilarious. Like, the dynamic is so good between them. The chemistry is so good. I just think it's a shame. Like, if they just kept them as a core couple, as a power couple, they would have easily been top 3, maybe even number 1. But just because of the way their storyline goes, I had to put them lower. Then at number 7, I have Brie and Keith. And again, I don't know if this is maybe like a hot take, because Keith isn't in it for that long, but I just loved him. And I thought he was so sweet. And he really just brought Brie out of her shell, you know, it was painting her house bright colours, and I just loved her with him, and she was just so fun, and they were just so cute. Like, they were just so cute, and I wanted them to be endgame. I loved them. I feel like I knew in my heart of hearts they weren't going to be, and it was just a matter of time. And the fact that, you know, he ended up leaving because he found out he had a son, which is like, we've done the secret kid thing so many times in this show. I just thought it was so sad the way they just ended, and it was just like, to me, they are just right person, wrong time. And I thought they were so sweet. I loved them. I really, really did. And yeah, the fact that it kind of just came to like a mutual end and he moves away, I was just like, oh, I loved it. I thought they were great. I really, really liked them. You literally can't see shit. Like the way that the way that the light is right now, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. If I lean back, is it any better? Not really. Then at number 6, I have Renee and Ben. And I don't know, Ben, I think I did like Renee and Ben. The way I'm like in the top 6 and I'm still like, there's no, aside from like the top 2, there's no Desperate Housewives couple that I love wholeheartedly and I see no issues with. Like so many of them are so either messed up or they're just not. I don't know. It's weird. I feel like I was so invested in the characters in Desperate Housewives and I was so invested in the storyline. I wasn't as invested in the romances like I usually am. So yeah, but Renee and Ben, I did think they were sweet. I was glad that she got a proper end game and, you know, and their wedding, and I thought that was sweet and he was a nice guy. And I did like him as a character, but I kind of liked the idea of him and Lynette or him and Brie instead, actually. But then when I realised that wasn't going to happen, I was like, him and Renee, it does make sense. And she, you know, it made for some hilarious scenes, like her trying to kind of win his affection. So I did like it. I liked their wedding. And yeah, I thought they were fine. I thought they were cute. Okay, now we're breaking into the top 5. Now it's serious shit. So at 5, I have Gabby and Carlos. I have such a love-hate relationship with them because like in the first season, he's so horrible, but then he becomes really, really likable and really funny in the later seasons. And then they just take turns. Like Gabby's the unlikable one and then Carlos is the unlikable one. But I think I always did, aside from season 1, to be fair, in season 1 I didn't want them to be together, but after that I was rooting for them to get back together, like when she was with the mayor and he was with Edie. I was kind of waiting for them to get back together, and I'm glad that they did, and I'm glad that they ended up together. I don't think I would have had them have kids, or if I do, I would have just like handled it differently than the show did. But ultimately, you know what? Again, they match each other's freak. Like they are absolutely ride or die for each other. Very fiery couple, very like heated, but they kind of like love each other in that same way. Like it's just intense, whether they're fighting or like they love each other. And obviously she did stand by him and, you know, and when he went blind, like she was there and he, you know, I did like them. I did like them. Again, one of the most iconic couples of the show. And so, yeah, I am glad they ended up together. I was waiting for them to get back together. Okay, then at number 4, I have Bob and Lee. The way I was so excited when Bob and Lee moved to Wisteria Lane, I just love them. When they almost split up, or did they split up for a little bit? Or that they almost split up, I was devastated. I was actually devastated. And I loved them, and they adopted their little girl, and oh my god, so funny. Like, honestly, I would say, I don't know, maybe 60% of the times I laughed the hardest at this show was them. Like, especially Lee. He was so funny. And he also plays Tim, the sous chef in Friends, and I think about that every time I see him, but I just loved their dynamic. I loved their dynamic with everyone on the lane as well, like, especially Renee, and, like, Susan, and they were just so funny, but they also just really loved each other, like, just wholeheartedly, and I just, they're one of my faves. Like, when I eventually do a rewatch, I'm going to be so bored waiting for them to move on to the lane, because they're easily the best neighbours. Best side characters for sure. Okay, so now we're breaking into the top 3. Now it's serious. And I'm so intrigued to know what other people's like top 3 and top 5 are. Please let me know. But at number 3, I have Mike and Susan. And Susan gets so much hate. And you know what? Deservedly so for some things. But I do like Susan. And I love Susan and Mike. Like, if Susan didn't have Mike, she would be even more insufferable. But oh my god, I love Susan and Mike so much. Like, I love Mike Delfino. Like, that is my man's, like, fully, in this show. And I just, oh my god, I love Mike and Susan so much. The will they, won't they of Mike and Susan, it honestly rivals Ross and Rachel, because it was like, oh my god, like in the first season, and then she likes him, and then you're not sure if he likes her, and then they're almost together, and then he gets hit by Orson hits him with his car, and then and then he's in the coma, and then he comes out of the coma, and then they do get back together, and then they get married, and then they break up, and then they get together again, and oh my god, like, and I just, oh my god, I need to lie back. I can't even tell you the way, if this is my life trajectory, right? This is what happened when I watched the episode of Mike's death. Like, it actually changed my life forever, knowing that they weren't going to be happy together forever. And then oh my god, when I found out that he died, I was gutted. I was so heartbroken. And that was so upsetting. Like, why couldn't it have been Tom? Because that would have still been devastating, because him and Lynette had just gotten back together. Oh, I hate that. I hate that that's how that love story ends. But oh my god, I cried at their wedding. Like, oh my god, like when she sat there and she decorated the RV, like, oh my god, it's so good. It's so good. Like, their chemistry, 10 out of 10. Chemistry insane, at 10 out of 10. Their banter, their like flirtiness, just everything. Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. Now at number 2, again, this may be a hot take. Or even if it's not a hot take, I feel like people might just be like, why do you have this so high? Why do you have this so high? And it's Brie and Carl. I loved Brie and Carl, okay? I loved them. I thought that's the best chemistry we've ever seen on this entire show, actually. That's the best chemistry we've ever seen on this entire show. When they started hooking up, it was so major for me, I couldn't even tell you. Because I would have never predicted it. Like, at the beginning of this show, I would have never put them together. But it was everything. Like, their flirty banter and the way they would like mock each other, and just that bicker, it was so good. It was so good. And I just loved them. I loved them so much. And at first it was just, like flirty, like hooking up kind of thing. And then he was going to propose to her. Like, was he going to propose to her? Was it marry me, Brie? Is that what it was going to say? I can't remember now. But she genuinely loved him. And then he dies. Don't even speak to me. I can't. Why? And then he dies. That was actually so cruel. Like, when you think about it, that was so cruel. And Brie did not deserve that. And I think she genuinely loved him and believed that he was going to change for her, and and maybe he wouldn't have, okay? But now we'll never know. And maybe he wouldn't have changed, okay? Maybe he wouldn't have. Maybe he would have cheated on her. But in my version of events, if he lived, they would have lived happily ever after. The chemistry was just off the charts. It was crazy. And then number 1, last but not least, my all-time favorite couple from Desperate Housewives is Karen and Roy. Because of course it fucking is. Who else is it gonna be? Those two made me believe in love. I was so, oh my god, I just love Karen. And for her to have happiness with him, I loved it so much. And then when she wanted to leave him so that he wouldn't have to watch another, so that he wouldn't have to watch another wife die, and he's like, no, I want to be there with you till the end, like, they were everything. They were so sweet, they were so funny, their dynamic was so good. Oh, like that is just, you can't. I'll be so interested to know who anyone else's number one is, because it can't be. I feel like a lot of people probably have Mike and Susan, or maybe Gabby and Carlos, like, but it's not. You're wrong. You're actually wrong. It is Karen and Roy. It simply is. Like, that's actually the only right answer, I think, anyway. And this is my channel, so that makes it the truth, actually. You can quote me on that. Karen and Roy, best couple in Desperate Housewives history. So yeah, oh my god, I'm like literally gonna be blinded. You literally can't even see me. I can't look in here because I will literally blind myself. But you can literally just see my mouth. Anyway, this is how we're gonna do the outro. It's fine. It's fine. Thank you so much. You can't see me. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I know it was a longer one. Actually, why am I even saying I know it was a longer one? My Pretty Little Lies video I posted before this was literally like 2.5 hours. But I love doing these videos where I rank all of the couples in a show. I'm so excited to see what you guys have to say, because I feel like when it comes to, you know, Gossip Girl, Pretty Little Liars, I have a better general idea of who people like and favorite couples and things, but I feel like Desperate Housewives has so many different pairings across the different seasons, and all of their love interests are also very different, that I'm super excited to see what you guys think and who you like. So let me know in the comments down below, and I have a Google form also in the description if you want to submit video ideas. As always, like, comment, subscribe. Please subscribe and like this video. And what else? You follow me on Instagram. You follow me on TikTok if you fancy. Yeah, that's it basically. God, I love talking about Desperate Housewives. I will see you guys in my next video.